You heard about the Supreme Court. You heard about Colorado taking Trump off the ballot, other states taking Trump off the ballot, and then the Supreme Court heard it and they came out with their decision. But what we didn't hear of in the news very much was the fact that right now the United States has put sanctions back on Venezuela because they did not uphold their agreement to hold free and fair elections. Why didn't they uphold their agreement? Because Maduro's Supreme Court took his candidate off the ballot. Watch.
Tonight, political tensions between the United States and Venezuela escalating once again over concerns that the South American country won't hold free elections. The U.S. taking measures against Venezuela after its highest court blocked the presidential candidacy of opposition frontrunner María Corina Machado on Friday.
Esto se llama delincuencia judicial. Esto es lo que ha ocurrido en Venezuela.
Machado is a former legislator and has been a leader within the opposition for over a decade. She's been the target of the Maduro regime, with sanctions barring her from holding office for 15 years, a tactic used in the past by the Venezuelan government to shut down opponents. The Biden administration now reimposing sanctions on Venezuela after they say the country walked back on a deal the country's leader Nicolás Maduro made with the U.S. to hold free elections this year, allowing opposition candidates to run for office.
The Maduro regime, when they signed on in October down in Barbados, made some commitments about opposition political parties, about free and fair elections, and what all that meant. And they haven't taken those actions.
Doesn't even matter. They're all here voting. So what is it?
You're right. You're absolutely right. But talk about hypocritical bullshit. So we're sanctioning Venezuela because their Supreme Court took her off the ballot. But meanwhile, Biden said shit about Colorado and all the rest taking Trump off the ballot. So he said shit about it.
Well, he's the one whose idea that was.
I'm sure it was. And I want to hear the libs, they had a meltdown that they want to ban the Supreme Court. They want to get rid of the Supreme Court, all this crap, but they don't see the hypocrisy in the whole thing. Well, anyway, this is what Trump had to say when Supreme Court went his way.
100 years from now and 200 years from now, extremely important. Essentially, you cannot take somebody out of a race because an opponent would like to have it that way. And it has nothing to do with the fact that it's the leading candidate, whether it was the leading candidate or a candidate that was well down on the totem pole. You cannot take somebody out of a race. The voters can take the person out of the race very quickly, but a court shouldn't be doing that, and the Supreme Court saw that very well. And I really do believe that will be a unifying factor, because while most states were thrilled to have me, there were some that didn't, and they didn't want that for political reasons. They didn't want that because of poll numbers, because the poll numbers are very good. We're beating President Biden in almost every poll.
Oh, here we go. I heard Colorado is opening calming safe space centers for voters who will now have to see the name Donald Trump on their ballots. Biden is a dictator, 100%. Facebook detector. Oh, all right. Everybody go there. We can't, because we can't click on it. Let's see. Venezuela is doing exactly what the Democrats are doing to President Trump. That's exactly right. Maybe they should sanction Colorado. Yeah, they should sanction Colorado. Excellent, Professor. Get aboard the Trump train? Absolutely. Venezuela was the richest Latin American nation. Generation Z took over there. Took over there. I see red. All right, Maria. We could hear perfectly fine. Okay, so it's just Jennifer. I got to buy her a new computer. So we were going. What?
Surprise! I'm on my phone.
We need to buy you a new computer. So we're going to be like them if we didn't have SCOTUS. Yeah. And the libs want to get rid of SCOTUS now. Guess what? I forgot to say hi. Oh, hi, Grandma.
More.
Okay. All right. So anyway, so the libs are spinning, but this I thought was great. Listen to what MSNBC has to say about SCOTUS and about Nikki Haley winning DC. This is going to blow your mind, but it's true. Watch.
Well, yesterday's Republican primary had what has become the standard vote split of 63% to 33%. But this time, Nikki Haley got the 63% and Donald Trump got the 33%. It was in the smallest Republican primary so far. It was in Washington, D.C., where in a city of 700,000 people, exactly 676 of them voted for Donald Trump. The reason that tiny vote is significant is that Donald Trump's jury pool for Special Prosecutor Jack Smith's case against Donald Trump for alleged crimes leading up to and on January 6th will be taken. That jury pool will be taken from those 700,000 people who spent yesterday not voting for Donald Trump. The odds of one of the 676 Republicans who did vote for Donald Trump in Washington, D.C. yesterday ending up on his jury there are worse than your odds with any lottery ticket you could buy anywhere. The most important Washington, D.C. voters for Donald Trump, though, are, of course, the 9 voters on the United States Supreme Court. And today, all 9 of them agreed that Donald Trump, who 3 of the justices called an oath-breaking insurrectionist, cannot be barred from presidential ballots by individual states on the basis of Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. And Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, as most of you know by now, bars anyone who took an oath of office and then engaged in insurrection from ever holding office again. Donald Trump's lawyers lost on several arguments that they presented to the court. They argued that the presidency is not an office. The Supreme Court ignored that argument. The Trump lawyers argued that the president is not an officer of the government. The Supreme Court ignored that argument. And most importantly, the Trump lawyers argued that Donald Trump did not engage in insurrection and that the attack on the Capitol was not an insurrection. The Supreme Court ignored that argument and left standing the finding by the Colorado Supreme Court that Donald Trump did indeed engage in insurrection.
Jen, are you with us? Uh-oh. Jen is frozen. Uh-oh. Either Jen is frozen or I'm frozen. I don't know which one. Washington win, no contest. I think somebody up there said that, of course, Nikki Haley won. Yeah, it was Jen. Nikki Haley won because she's part of the swamp. I agree 1,000,000%. My parents are going to need therapy after tonight when Haley drops out. Oh, that must be interesting dinner conversation in your house. Young voters represent the greater threat to American democracy based upon our limited government. Yeah, you know what? The Constitution is the target. The judges went by the law, not politics. Indeed, they did. He's actually telling the truth for once. Yeah, true. If the Supreme Court didn't add in the writing additions, the libs' plan was to go after Trump if and when he got voted in as president. They will not stop wasting taxpayer money. You know what? You're absolutely right. And it's like they gave a map to the libs of what to do next. You can't insurrect yourself. That's right, Debbie. I've been saying that the whole time. If Trump was a dictator and wanted to stay president, he would have used the army to do it. He didn't. It was a protest. And the only person killed in the protest was protesters. The people that died later died of natural causes. And if that was such a bad thing that there was a protest in the Capitol, then how come the Jews for Palestine taking over the rotunda wasn't the same kind of problem? That's, we need to get this shit out there. We need to talk about it. Their plan was an immediate impeachment. Indeed, it was. Well, watch. I'm going to give you the next video. Yes, Jen was frozen.
That's my Botox.
It was a riot safer than any riot that entire year. Yeah, right. Exactly, Mick. It was a riot orchestrated by Nancy Pelosi. I mean, that's a fact. That place was calm until Pelosi brought in the Capitol Police, and they started shooting tear gas into the crowd. They opened the doors. So I'm not going to go further because you know what YouTube does to us, but they tortured the J6ers. But what about Minnesota riots before Harris was VP? She pandered for the bail money. Yes, absolutely. I exactly agree. It was a protest, not an insurrection. What about the insurrection during Trump's inauguration? Cops were killed. That's true. Yeah, you know what? And we need to talk about it more. Pelosi denied help. It was a setup.
Not allowed.
What do you call 500 riots in 50 Democrat cities over 2 years? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, both frozen. Oh, crap. Oh, that's not good. Okay. So here's Raskin talking about what he's going to do now that SCOTUS made their decision.
I am working with a number of my colleagues, including Debbie Wasserman Schultz and Eric Swalwell, to revive legislation that we had to set up a process by which we could determine that someone who committed insurrection is disqualified by Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. And the House of Representatives already impeached Donald Trump for participating in insurrection by inciting.
He wasn't even near the Capitol. I mean,
but what he's saying is, and you know, Lawrence, the MSNBC guy, said it because they were silent on the insurrection and they didn't, you know, speak on it. Now he's already been impeached twice he's been impeached for the insurrection. Now they're going to bring it up. So everybody get ready because they aren't going down without a fight because they know they can't cheat this year. They know they can't. So what's the next step? So the people who are sanctioning Venezuela for keeping presidential candidates off the ballot are trying to keep presidential candidates off the ballot.